to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. We have a quorum, so we're good. Not on. My mic is on. Yeah.
Oh.
Hear the feedback? Okay, so we're in good shape. Little bumpy start, but we're good. We want to give Kathleen a copy of these. No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, let's go down the agenda if we may. There's no public for public comment, so that's an out. We have to approve minutes for the past three meetings, April 25th, May 19th, and June 4th. Why don't we do them one at a time? Because there's a change, I think, in the May 19th? In the April 25th. And what it amounts to is there was a dating problem that should read, or should have read in the minutes. On the first page of the minutes, where it says for the past minutes, motion was made, so on and so on, to approve the minutes of March 25th, which in reality should have been March 28th. So that's the only change to that. So if we can have a motion to approve the minutes for April 25th. We have a motion by Evie and a second by Mark. Okay, so thank you. So that's done. Then we have May 19th. I don't think there's any changes to that. We can have a motion to accept those minutes.
Can't hear you.
We just had? Oh, you can't hear me. We're into June. Is May 19th the last meeting? It's
No,
not the last one.
No, June 4th was.
Ah,
I think
okay.
you missed one.
But I was here June 4th.
Okay. But at any rate, can we have a motion to accept the minutes of the 19th? Okay, we'll give Eve the credit for this one again and Mark for seconding again. Thank you. And for the minutes of June 4th. Was that Priscilla Place? Once again, but we have a motion to accept those minutes.
Well, now is the June 5th,
4th.
am I on for attending or am I absent?
You were there.
Is that,
Mhm.
I am. Okay. So I missed.
This truly is the senior commission.
Okay.
Okay, let me have a motion to accept the minutes. Eve,
Okay.
and Paul or Kathleen, would you care to second the motion to accept the minutes of the June 4th? Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, so we got that out of the way. We come to today, the 23rd. Senior Center reps aren't here. I guess things are going relatively well then. Stern Village, Mrs. Mack is not here, and it's my turn. I have a little thing here to address some of the things about from the meeting of the 4th, which you had kicked around things regarding a lot of silly things, not silly things, but the form letter, the organization of putting together our campaign, some facts, some costs, how do we going to get some information. I understand, Kathleen, you have some posters that you were able to put together for us. Very good. Senior Center, good, okay. We are not able to, I guess, acquire a table or do any activities at this moment at the farmer's market. But they are putting us on a wait list, if I'm right about that, Paul?
Yes, we are on the wait list. She didn't sound particularly encouraging about getting a spot, but we are on the wait list.
Yeah, I excuse me. I had heard that. My initial thought was, why don't we just roam around with clipboards and whatnot and do that? But I thought that'd be nothing more than an alienation factor. So I think I or you, Paul, however you're feeling, might want to just give her a call and say, what we'd like to do is just roam around when we shop, speak to people with no preset schedule, no preset times. Just go to the market, do our shopping and speak with people. Would that be of any problem? Anybody-
I will add that to my to-do list.
All right, I don't foresee any problems with that. I hope not. That should work out well if that does happen. Let's see, what else? I don't know if, Mark, weren't you kicking around a mailer some?
I am not pursuing that until this gets done. This
Okay.
is our focus.
Right. Yeah, Mike.
I haven't pursued it. I have one here. I just gave one to Kathleen for her to look at. But I'm not gonna pursue that until we get done with this, because I think should be our focus, not doing that mailing.
I agree with you, but I don't know.
I can start working on it. Yeah, I can start working on it. I kind of put it in the back burner waiting, because I don't want
No,
to.
I agree with you where the priorities are, but I just don't want to let too
Okay.
much build up in the background because
Okay.
I don't know how confident we should be with the way this thing is going with the town council. And the reason I mention that is that a while ago, at one of our last building committee meetings, we reviewed the points that the town had requested of us. To the things as maintenance costs, ongoing issues with different things within the building, costs that are beyond our scope of even figuring out. So someone had said they were going to try and get to Mr. Estrada to get some rough estimates. At that point, there was a conversation going back and forth, and the lawyer, it's Mr. Dan Shopik, is our lawyer, Barbara? Dan Shopik. He basically stood up and said that we were right, or at least the commissioner who brought it up was Kelly Malazzo. She basically said that that's beyond our charter and knowledge to figure out what the maintenance costs of that new building will be. We may have some kind of a rough idea, but a rough idea could be way off or it could be right on. It's kind of like the cost of a building, it could be right off or way off. At any rate,
Do they expect the maintenance cost of the new place to be any
Oh,
higher
yeah.
than the maintenance cost of the current place?
I wouldn't anticipate that because it's going to be a brand new building. A lot of things are going to be under warranty and maintenance. A lot of things are going to have a 15, 25-year life cycle to them.
So you would think that if you just took that cost and use that as a barometer for the new place, you'd be reasonably safe.
One would think that, but one doesn't know. We don't know what the town council is looking for. At any rate, what Mr. Shopik had said is that since we're in such, I hate to use the word nebulous, but such unknown areas of the costing, that the only reason we would comply, or no, bad choice of words, we will comply with whatever the town council requests, but you have to qualify that. The reason being is that when the maintenance costs are available, they're not going to be accurate. But if we don't give them to them, regardless whether they're on target or off, they can say to us, you did not comply with our request, and therefore take no action on our request to put the building to a referendum in November.
Did they do that when they did the new school?
Of course not. I apologize. I shouldn't be so flip. I don't really know for a fact, but I have heard there's very little discussion with any Board of Education project.
That's true. Well, we know that. It's
Yeah, I think one of those bullet points I mentioned here was the council voted to spend $100 million to refurbish the middle school with no concerns about a budget or cost of the impact to our senior fixed income, social security income, or living expenses. School expenses are continuous, whereas the senior center is a one-time cost to benefit all the taxpayers in Trumbull over the next 50+ years. And notice it said all taxpayers. It doesn't matter now if you're 20. In 50 years, you're going to be 70. And if you're living, God willing, you will be probably utilizing some aspect of the senior center. Okay, enough on that.
Ron,
Yes,
still comes back to your point that if we don't, you're now speaking in your community facilities building committee hat, right? If you don't give them some kind of an estimate, then they can just say, well, you didn't comply.
Exactly.
I think, you might do well to look at a new building and look at the per square foot cost of maintenance in similar facilities, community centers and or senior centers, and then, just take it and multiply it by our square footage. And that seems to me to be a reasonable approach, and it gives them a number, as you say, whether it's accurate or not is, it can't be accurate, but it's a number and it's a defensible number. But I don't know who gets that. Maybe the architects could do that at, what's his name in our car read there? Just a thought.
Yes. Well, some of us have already done that for the first 5 options that were given to us from the from the architects. And one of the ones was, if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong with my numbers, but they reduced the building by about a third, about 8 or 9,000 square feet. The saving of a cost was maybe 16, 17% of the $32 million. And the cost per foot had gone up. So, yeah, and the moral is that when you reduce the cost of the building, the cost per square foot goes up.
Right, but I'm talking about the cost of maintenance per square foot of an existing building. That number's got to be, add in the janitors and the supplies. That number has to be available, for any recent construction, even if it's school construction. It would give you a back of the napkin sketch estimate that you could provide them. I'm not talking about the construction cost. I'm talking about maintenance cost on a per square foot basis. That's calculatable. And
Yeah, but that's basically a swag. I mean, that's
that's exactly right. Well, anything you do is a swag.
Could someone get that from Frenchtown Elementary School? Because it's a reasonably new building and say, what's the maintenance cost and take the square footage, as Paul says, and compare it to our square footage and use that as an example.
I think that's a valuable thing to do. I'll mention it at the meeting, which is this Wednesday. Thank you. That's a good point. Okay. I don't know where we are with Paul, did we ever finalize that letter that we were working on?
Well, I sent you what I had. You requested, I had done a draft of a letter that someone could send to the town councils, to the town council at large or to their individual councilors, plugging in their names and address, and they could pick and choose whatever they wanted from it. I sent that to you and I didn't get any particular feedback. It was a bit lengthy. So I don't know if you want to prune it down or, the truth is, having been in the position of receiving these letters, it's not the arguments that really, it's that people cared enough to send the letter. That's what counts. And so I think if anything that's in the King's English probably will work. I mean, obviously, we want to have as many cogent arguments as we can,
Yes.
but I think it's the sheer number that really is going to be the telling factor.
I just don't think people really want to read this lengthy thing in front of them, as valid as it is.
You want me to take a shot at just shortening it down to,
If I may, Paul wrote a great letter. It's perfect the way it is. Let's get it out there. It's about the length of it. It's about the number of letters that go,
True.
right?
True.
People can customize it. I don't think we should wait another several weeks.
No,
There's
I agree with
3
that.
meetings coming up and choices to be made and voices are not being heard. So make it easy for people to register their feelings.
Do we give Paul maybe like a day or two just to modify this, or we just go with what we have?
Paul, do you want to modify it?
I certainly can. So you would charge me, you wouldn't have to then vote to approve the final language. You're going to charge me to just edit it and deliver it to Ron, basically.
Yeah, and then we'll get copies somewhere somehow and just
Right. And Michelle has the petitions and I think she has a copy of the letter at the senior center. So she has that. I can certainly send her an abbreviated bullet point version of the same thing. and I can send it to you, Ron, and you can give it to Michelle, or how do you want it? I'll send it to you and then you can distribute it, but she already has the petition. She
Yes.
already has she already has the original, letter to the council and or councilors.
This
So, if if you want me to do a shorter version, that's easy to do.
Kathleen, I'm going to bounce that off of you.
I think time is of the essence,
True.
and wordsmithing it is arbitrary, I think, at this
All
point.
right, then we'll just go with what we have.
Okay.
Paul
So
doesn't.
what you want to do, I'm sorry, I think what you want to do is tell Michelle to get them out in some prominent place in the senior center, because she has a stack of them, or she should. She would get them copies.
I am wondering if whether or not one of us who are members of the senior center should put it out there, just because
Oh, good point.
senior center member versus Michelle,
Town
Might
employee,
be,
yeah, exactly.
an appropriate way to get that done.
I agree.
Yeah, I think both of us would kind of pursue that with the senior center help and us doing it. Of
With their permission to
multiple.
put it there,
course, yeah.
so that members can make up their minds.
Okay, got to get the letter from Michelle and distribute. Going to go with what we have.
There any other obvious channels besides the senior center that we should get it to?
Can't we leave, why can't we leave a few, of these petitions at the library?
Yeah, we can get to Stefan, ask if we can have a little sign, petition for the new senior center, please sign if you haven't already.
Right.
Yep, I think that's a good idea.
Or Kathleen sign. Next to the petition.
Library is a town, those are all town paid employees, right? So is that okay? Right, since this is, we're trying to reach people at a more of a grassroots level, and the senior center employees cannot participate in that, right? Right, well,
Well, the library does provide a bulletin board type service for community groups, but let Stefan tell us. If she says,
That's
I
fine.
can't do that, that's
That's-
fine.
And it doesn't even have to be inside the library. We could put it on, as you enter the library, the lobby,
could even put it at the Stop and Shop,
and we
They
could
have
put it
a-
in Stop and Shop.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The grocery store?
If to do anything outside the door at Stop and Shop, you have to check with the management.
Don't they have a bulletin board?
I
I
think
don't know, I
inside,
haven't looked in a long.
inside perhaps they do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we should
just
check the
like business
library.
cards and whatnot.
And I saw the veterans had it set up last week, just they had a setup, they were selling raffle tickets to benefit the new Veterans Center. That was right outside. So I think that they're pretty public spirited. I think that if we wanted to staff a table there on a Saturday afternoon, somebody should make the call. Unfortunately, my recuperation is not going as fast as I hoped it would, so I'm kind of hors de combat for the next 3 or 4 weeks anyway. And I
Okay.
apologize for that.
I recall having been involved with the poppy sales at the VFW and the American Legion, both at the Trumbull Stop and Shop.
Mhm,
That has to be coordinated with the store manager.
Of course.
So
Was there a problem?
sometimes they want to know in advance, sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no, sometimes they have to check with corporate.
I thought we
depends on
had the
local
library.
management. Pardon?
Except you get a lot of people at stuff. I guess.
Well, if there's a bulletin board in the lobby and it's open for public information and people soliciting their businesses and whatnot, why not this?
I agree.
I just go in and put up a couple of appropriate,
I would go to the
Fine.
Stop and Shop store manager, ask his permission, not for that day, but for a day. And then just set up a table and a chair and sit, see
Mhm.
people going in and with your sign,
Yeah.
Kathleen sign, which I think it would be very descriptive of exactly what we're trying to do. Try to get signatures on the On a petition.
Okay, when the VFW does their poppy thing, we do it from anywhere from, I think, 9 in the morning to about 8 at night.
Oof.
And we do it in 3-hour sessions. And there's either 1 or 2 people at each table, and we man the front and the back entrance. That, by the way, is the only fundraiser that the VFW and the Legion do that support their efforts. Any other income that comes is donations.
Well, don't forget, Ron, I sent you that list of people who volunteered to help. There's about 12 names on it. And I also sent, I think I gave Michelle actually the originals of all the petitions. But those 12 volunteers might be a resource we can tap into. They said they were willing to help. And so let's see if they are. And I think a Saturday afternoon at the Stop and Shop, or a Saturday, 10 to 6 or whatever, and 3-hour shifts or whatever, that would work. So that's 6 people.
That 3 hours was an arbitrary number.
Yeah, but it's 3, 2, 2, 4, 6, yeah. If we can get between us and the volunteers, if we can get 6 people, I think we can put a poster up in the library favoring it, and maybe have a QR code that people can scan to download, for example, an electronic copy of the letter in support. I'd be a little skeptical about putting a box out with petitions to be signed as they do at the senior center, only because the library's, it's too passive. We got to go monitor it. If we do have if we are present at the Stop and Shop, then at the end of the day, we've got all the petitions and all the volunteer sign-up sheets. So we monitor that and we know what we got.
Are we pushing more for the petition or more for the letter to the town council?
Well, I think both are important. I mean, we've got almost 300 signatures now on the petition.
Town council meeting very soon.
Yeah, so, we'd have to do it. I mean, I think in one day we could probably get another 100, 200 signatures. And so you get up to 500 and they've got to start to take notice. That's a big number in a town of this size. So, and I can work on getting a QR code that you can say, scan this with your phone and it'll take you to a website or a URL where you can download the letter form. And in theory, I could even have a petition sign up. That's a little harder. I might get that done. I can work on that because I can do it at home.
Are you familiar with the QR codes and getting in that data and?
Yeah, you just tell you basically all you're doing is setting up a web page, and then you tell the QR maker this is the web address, and it makes the little URL, the little, what do they call those codes? I'm
not sure. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, I've done that before. It's easy to do.
Is there any way to take that data that comes in that acknowledges the address that it's coming from, and then puts that into a file that we can use and then submit en masse to someone?
That's a slightly different approach. We can certainly ask for that information in a form. They don't have to give it to us, and I don't think we want to force them to give it to us.
But they got to give us their name, or at least, right, an address.
Well, not necessarily. They don't have to give it to remember, there's a couple of things here, and I'm getting way ahead of myself, but one thing would be to have a website that's just the text or a PDF of the letter that we want them to send to the council.
Right.
They can just download that, just cut and paste it. The other thing would be to have some kind of online sign up, online petition form that they could sign in, and that we would gather their phone number, their address. But you can't get signatures that way. You know what I'm saying? You really want a person's signature. So, but we can get, yes, I'm interested, I'd like to help, that kind of information. But I think to circulate petitions, you really have to be there with the people who are signing. While it's useful, and I can certainly gather that information through a website, it's a little.
I think the signature is the hard spot.
Yeah, that requires a human being.
Well, can't there be like a little box, checking this box, I acknowledge I am who I say I am, or something to
I
that?
think we're getting beyond the scope here.
We'll
The
make-
goal of the QR code is just to make it available in a different means, right? That somebody could access it at home when they feel like it. It's a distribution method. If we
Yeah.
start getting into collecting that's a whole other project. And I think beyond
Okay.
our goals here, I think we want to distribute the information and the opportunity to have people raise their own voices and make it available to people. But becoming a collector of data is definitely outside the scope of this initiative.
Well, at some point it will be, but I don't think we have time to set it up before the town council meeting.
I think
That's-
time is the essence.
I can set up a web page that people can just go to and, click download and they get a PDF or a text file of a form letter that they can,
Oh, when's the next town council meeting?
well, isn't it July, was it
Like
the
10th?
10th or 10th, yeah.
I think it's the 10th.
We don't have a lot of time then.
I don't know.
And they're going to be voting on one of the proposals, right?
They're going to be voting on whatever the building committee presents to them.
Right. One of these
Well,
proposals.
we're going to give them 3 proposals.
Correct.
And we're supposed to give the one we choose the best.
Right.
Which we already have done.
Number 7.
And now, well, that's what they,
Is it our expectation
yes.
or hope that we will get the vote in July to have the November ballot, the November referendum on the
ideally, yes.
but maybe not. I mean, it's not impossible. Remember that we've said all along that the real campaign won't start till after Labor Day, but we got to get a lot of stuff in place. Doing this thing where we put the form letter online, create a URL that people, a QR code that people can just scan, take them to a website, click the download button. That's easy. I can take care of that. Setting up a form to gather data,
Not our mission.
I agree.
That's outside our scope.
outside our scope, but not the campaign scope necessarily.
Right, but this is a commission meeting, so we should have a separate meeting to talk about that with raving fans who are not necessarily on the commission.
I think we should be focusing on getting signatures and petitions
it-
signed at different locations, whether it be the library or Stop and Shop. Or a bank, M&T Bank, where people are going, you're getting local people going, Trumbull people for the most part, going into Stop and Shop up in Quality. You
Yeah, I
got
think Mark is right.
Trumbull people going into the library,
Before July 10th, so that
Yes,
it gets
you
to the
need to do it
council
now.
to say this is important, right?
right? I agree.
Right,
You need to do it now.
Because all of this, if they don't approve one of these proposals, means it's not going on a referendum.
No.
Tomorrow
Oh.
I will go to Stop and Shop and try to get a hold of the store manager and see if I can get his permission for us. I'll
And
do
what
that.
about the library? I mean,
Well,
that's-
that's 3 points, the library, the farmer's market and Stop and Shop.
Farmer's market.
Farmers market is, unless we're going to gather,
You're gonna call and see if they'll allow us to roam around the farmer's market, correct?
well, I thought, Ron, you said you didn't think that was a good idea.
No, we didn't think it was a good idea. We
without
did it
approval.
without their permission.
Oh,
Yeah, if we solicit their okay and they say fine, then it's a go, I think.
okay. All right, so I'll talk to Erica and get that, find out if we have permission to do that.
I'll go try to contact the Stop and Shop store manager to get permission. And what date would we like to shoot for?
I would think a Saturday would be our best day.
Coming
I
Saturday?
I think we should try any time, since we're working on a time frame.
No, but we gotta give the manager a date that we know that we can get people to do it. So Paul says Saturday, I don't disagree. I'll put some time in on Saturday.
I will offer myself with I will try for any date that you can come up with ASAP.
I'm gonna go to the store manager, ask him if we can do it Saturday, Sunday, and see what he says.
Good.
So-
Yeah, you only have these 2 weekends. before
Right.
the 10th.
Right,
So-
so,
And one of
One of
those,
which is the 4th of July too.
well, I can't do that.
4th of July would be a good time to get a lot of traffic.
I have
or
a,
people are away.
I have a big
And
party.
people are away,
There's about
yeah.
50, 60 people coming to my house.
Oh.
So we'd really be talking about next weekend.
So if I come over, you won't even notice it's one more.
Anyone can come, trust me. We have people
So-
coming from all over.
So I think, Paul, would you have to work it on one more weekend?
I'm sorry?
Did you say we're working with just basically one more full weekend?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, because the weekend after that's the 4th, and then the weekend after, well, wait a minute, the 10th. I guess there'd be 2 weekends. You could do it the weekend before the actual meeting. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but there should be a,
that's 4th of July weekend. So you either do it the 28th and 29th of June. And the following weekend is the 5, 6 of July, right?
Might be able to help.
Or
and then
the
it's
6th,
that week, yeah.
right? 5, 6 is Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
So
So it has to be the 28th, 29th.
It could be the
At least.
5th, 6th, could be the 5th, 6th.
Yeah, we could do both. Maybe.
I will ask the store manager both those weekends. too.
Mark, if he can't do that, and he may not, it's his late notice, if he can get us a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday before the 4th,
And whenever.
yeah. Don't get too close to the 4th because people, I'm sure we'll have trouble staffing it, but, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, go for the Saturday, obviously.
All right, I'll let you know
Thank you.
for tomorrow.
Or, is anybody checking on the library yet? If not, I will with Stefan. Okay.
Again, on the library, I think we want a physical presence there. And so it's a table with a
I
couple,
don't think, it's,
so don't spread out. We haven't got a lot of resources here, so,
Oh, maybe we can get some of those volunteers that you sent a list to Ron on.
yeah.
Just on the list.
I'm embarrassed. I don't recall seeing that list.
Michelle has it, and I did send it to you, and I can send it again. I scanned it all, so I've got all the signatures and the volunteers. So I can send it to you again, Ron.
Yeah, please do that. I'm embarrassed to say I don't recall that.
But somebody needs to reach out to them. And most of them have phone numbers and or emails, the people who are volunteering.
Yeah. If we could get something going with these 3 points, the library, the farmer's market, Stop and Shop, I think at least a start at accomplishing something.
Yeah, it's a good cross section.
And then if one works, we could just go arbitrary times, whatever.
Right. I mean, we have an immediate task, which is to get the emails and or letters to the council and to get as many signatures as we can before July 10th. That's our priority. I'll do some of the technical infrastructure to help facilitate that. But if somebody could make some calls to some of the volunteers and see when they'd be available to help us, and that might help us decide, what day to ask for, or it'll certainly help us staff the table. I think at Stop and Shop, we got to take what they give us. If he says you're going to have Tuesday, then it's Tuesday. But they don't get an awful lot of people who are hanging out front. They do get some. So I'd be surprised if it was fully booked. But
If-
you never know.
Some is better than none, so
Bring it
just
to Stop Shops.
we got to make the effort, I guess, for it.
Yeah.
Can you
Sure.
change it? So, where's this it?
that's it.
Kathleen, what are
I-
the size of the
Oh,
Oh, I did,
signs?
I changed it.
Kathleen, excuse me, Kathleen, what are the sizes of the signs you have at the senior center?
3 by
3 by 5, nice. In your
18 by
face, we got-
22.
And don't forget, Michelle also has that hanging banner I
by
made that
22.
just says, ask me about the new senior center.
by
Michelle has that as well.
Say that again, Paul.
The day that we were collecting signatures at the senior center, I had a little banner made up that just says, ask me about the new senior center. It's a simple banner, but you can tack it to a wall or something. Michelle has that as well. So we'll have enough graphic presence to catch people's attention, but we need somebody there to
Yes.
get to sign on the dotted line, whether it's volunteer and or petition.
If we could accomplish those 3 or 4 things, we're not golden, but we got a good start at it.
Yeah.
So the only things then is just getting approval with, all 3 actually. I will do the library. Paul, you can do the farmer's market with, what is it, Erica?
Erica, I'll follow up on that.
And then Mark, you Stop and Shop?
Correct.
Okay, so we got those 3 covered.
And who's going to reach out to the volunteers?
If you give me that list, I'll do some phone calls.
Okay. I know a couple of them. We'll talk about who calls who, but I'll get you that list.
Okay, once I get the list, we'll kick it around.
Yep.
Anything else on that, or we kind of like a little short action list here?
covered.
Well, I do think, and this isn't immediate, but it's a little urgent, is we do need to set up a website. For the moment, it doesn't have to be much, but it means getting a domain name, which costs a little bit of money. My memory is if you go through something like GoDaddy, you can pay like $10 a month. We'd only need it for a short period of time. And I'm willing, as a contribution to pay for that, but
I will contribute with you for
Me
that.
too.
So would I.
But let me, that $10 a month was back when I used to work in computers. Who knows what it is today? But anyway, I will find out what it is and then we can decide if it's cost effective or
Let's hope that rate still holds up, which,
not.
which I doubt, but,
Yeah.
okay. I don't have anything else. Anyone have anything else of any interest or import?
That's why we had the meeting.
Are we comfortable with I guess, our little hit list?
Yeah, there's plenty to do in the amount of time that we have, believe me.
Okay, we can have, well, we can distribute emails advising one or two on what's being done and the progress and the situation. So I don't see a problem with that, but, all right, I'm at a loss what to go on with. I mean, it just,
I think we got some marching orders here. Ron, I'll get you that list and we can follow up on that. Mark, you're gonna call Stop and Shop. Who's calling the library?
I'm gonna get to Stefan. I'm gonna walk right over after this.
Okay. And I've got Erica at the farmer's market to see if we can just prowl around. Okay.
Okay, but I like that short hit list. And I think I was kind of overcomplicating things initially, so thank you, Kathleen and Paul, for bringing it back.
Well, we got a lot to do, but we do have some time to do it. But there are some things that have to be done in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
It's a little hit list.
Yep.
Okay, anything further? Anybody care to make a motion to adjourn? Eve, any second? Kathleen, thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Oh, wait, no, this one thing. I apologize, I apologize. We do have something scheduled for August. We have nothing scheduled for July?
We usually,
Okay,
there's one,
worst case, we can get to the group and we'll
yeah,
form an emergency one should we need it.
yes.
But other than that, we will not meet July. Well, you're with us, no July meeting.
Okay, I got it.
August,
We
it's
should
August,
do a July
20.
meeting and not in August.
Say that again, Mark?
Schedule, it's August.
August 22nd? Okay, well, it's on our list, it's on the town site, so we're good. So, okay, based on that, then I guess we are finished.
Good.
Thank you, Dennis, thank you for your help. And Phil, wherever you are, thank you also. Take care.